Hello, welcome to another episode of the Hearns channels, modelers and their models. And today I have Michael.
Howdy, how's it going?
Hey, good. This is your first time on?
Yeah, it is. Good to be here.
Excellent. Now you spend a lot of time at the Hobby Man.
I do indeed, yes.
You do.
Yeah.
But one of the things you enjoy building is models, and you have particular model here.
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
It's a toy. I love toys, probably more than as much as I like models. I really enjoy toys. I'm a toy collector.
Yes.
So as part of a local toy art scene, they run shows. This is not a toy scene. They had a show that was based on My Little Ponies, where you get a blank base of a My Little Pony toy and do what you want with it. And I called this one My Little Attack on Hoth. Right. So it's a My Little Pony,
yes,
but done up in a Star Wars kind of motif, kind of style. So it's obviously it's one of the Imperial Walkers, and you can see the My Little Pony in the classic stance.
Yeah, you definitely can.
And it's on a base of what is meant to look like snow, and I've done a little land speeder there.
Yes.
Sorry, a snow speeder.
Snow speeder, yes.
That's curling the cord around the legs, just like you see in the film.
Right.
So yeah, it's a bit of a My Little Ponies Star Wars mashup toy.
Right.
If you can get your head around that. So yeah, it's a bit of fun.
I think that's really interesting because everyone that contributes to this particular art show gets the same base object.
That's right.
And it depends on how they work it into the theme.
Yeah, and they get to do whatever they want with it.
Right.
And this was I did actually 4 pieces for that particular show, and this was one of them. I was really happy with what I did and how it came out.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
It looks really good. I mean, the blending of the two different genres, I think, is pretty seamless.
Yeah, and what might be of some surprise, and I guess we'll get into a little bit into how it all came together, but one of the things that I really enjoy doing is getting toys of various genres and just throwing them together and bits from this and bits from that and bits from another thing, and putting them together to make something completely different.
Right.
So even though this is Star Wars and My Little Pony, there's elements of Transformers in here.
Because you love that, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scratch building with just various materials like the wire, the styrene. There's some Lego parts in there. People probably recognise, oh yeah, I recognise that Lego bit or this Lego bit.
Yes.
And something else, and this was some of these art shows were coming out of the COVID period, where there were lockdowns and everything else. You'll actually notice on his legs, those pieces there are actually rat tests.
Oh, are they?
You can see that they're switched around and cut up and everything else. But
that's really interesting.
Yeah, so you use whatever you can.
Yes.
Just whatever junk you've got lying around. Bits
of plastic for inspiration.
Yeah. And that's
awesome.
part of the process that I really like, is getting a whole lot of bits and pieces that don't naturally go together.
Yes.
And throwing them together to make something that looks unified.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the resin pony.
Yep.
And you can chop it, obviously, because the head's cut, and then you just...
It is, yeah. He doesn't.
But it still needs to be recognisable, right?
That's right. And it has got that the pony feet, the pony legs,
yes.
The pony stance. You can see his little ears there as well. So if you had that up against a traditional My Little Pony, it'll be the same size, and you can see that stance is there as well.
Right, okay. So a bit of kit bashing, I guess you'd call it.
A lot of kit bashing.
And scratch building.
Yeah. The snow speeder, for instance, down here, is almost entirely scratch built
be careful
from
here, 'cause it's a bit
styrene. Yeah, you can see that one there. And he's on a little clear base, so he's elevated.
Oh, you can barely notice it.
Yeah.
So it definitely looks like it's
hopefully
flying.
blending in with the snow a little bit.
Oh, it is, definitely.
So that was built with styrene from Evergreen.
handy stuff, isn't it?
It's really great stuff. You know, it's very shapeable and sandable and paintable and everything else. So
Yep.
just a little. I actually had a snow speeder toy. So
Right.
I used that as a template. It was too large to fit on this.
Oh,
it
right.
needed to be a certain size, so I just
So you
sort of
referenced off it.
scaled it down
Oh, nice.
and built it myself. Yeah.
So those rings around the neck, is
Yep.
that evergreen as well?
That's evergreen as well.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's handy.
Good spotting.
So that's the semicircular type stuff.
Yep.
And then the back, what was that off?
These parts here,
Yeah.
or the base.
Oh, the back of the pony, like the...
These
yeah.
are pieces off a transformer.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. These are the wings of. If you're into Transformers, you may recognise them as parts of the wings of a Transformers Siege Tetrajet Seeker.
Right.
From a few years ago, those toys came out, and I had some spares. This bit here is the chest of Titan's Return Blitzwing.
Right.
And some of these other bits and pieces are just, various bits of Transformers that I've had as junkers lying around, and I've
Yes.
pulled them apart, some Lego bits that I've put in there. And there's usually involved quite a bit of cutting and filing and sanding and sticking together and finding it doesn't fit and throwing
Yes.
it all out and starting over and trying again. And
I think it's really interesting how you've done the, I guess it's a head part or the helmet part.
yeah.
And it's got the standard AT-AT shape.
Yes.
But it's got a lot of that. I see Transformers in it.
Yeah, for sure. There is the part of the challenge in doing a piece like that
Yes.
is it is a little bit rough.
Yeah.
It is very handmade.
Yes.
It's a one of a kind. Obviously, it's unique.
Yes.
You can, if you look really closely, you can see some flaws in the resin pour and that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's of its time, you know. And there's lots of experimentation involved, and there's lots of trying things, and you obviously you're taking Transformers pieces, for instance, but you need to make it look like it's an AT-AT. So
Yes.
there's you have involved that element of going back to the source material and saying, okay, what does an AT-AT look like? It needs to look like an AT-AT. Does this Transformer piece applied to this still make it look like an AT-AT, or is it going to look like something completely different? So
definitely works.
things like the guns and that kind of
Yes.
thing had to be done in a certain way so that it's immediately recognisable
Yes,
as that
yes.
thing.
Yeah, wow. So with this, what sort of like glues would you use for your various materials? Because this is multimedia, right?
Oh, very much so. And it did, unfortunately, after the show, when I transported it, there was a little bit of breakage, which does need to
that
be
happens
fixing.
sometimes,
It's
right?
coming off the base a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. So
A little bit of hot glue here and there.
Yeah.
Some of the glues that I used, for instance, to put the snow, the material that has that appearance of snow.
Yep.
It's a synthetic material.
Right.
That has that glittery effect.
Yes.
Some of it has yellowed slightly over
Yep.
time. So that's something I'll need to fix up. So there was some water-based glues in that.
Right.
Because they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't discolour, so you can have that pure white.
I don't mind it
crispness.
actually.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. When you go to the snow, there's some unevenness to it.
There can be where ground is showing through or something like that. Yeah.
And sometimes
for
it's
sure,
things
for
like this
Yeah.
that you don't intend to do. Sometimes you learn from it, don't you?
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely,
think you
for
don't
sure,
expect
for
things to
sure.
discolour and discolour, but
Yeah.
I think it still works in this instance.
Yeah, other than that, like some of the plastics and resin and that kind of thing have behaved really well sticking together with basic CA glues and that kind
Right,
of
yes.
thing, super glues. So yeah,
So do you use all the different consistencies of CA? Like thin,
I
medium,
do.
thick?
Yep. Depending
Gel?
on the application.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And the paint finish. How did you achieve that?
Okay, so most of this was done with lacquers, solvent-based paints, the acrylic lacquers from Scale Modelers Supply, SMS.
Yes. So then airbrush ready paint.
Airbrush ready paint,
Yes.
so painted with an airbrush,
Yep.
the silver parts and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Some of the snow speeder is hand painted, obviously, the black and the orange details.
Yes.
think I might have used some Valleos with that.
Right.
the snow obviously was white coloured anyway. So, yeah, I wanted it to look silver, but it didn't have to be sort of chrome, like an ultra high shine finish. And
Yes.
one of the things I do like about toys is they can, depending on the QC that you get with a toy,
Yeah.
you can get some toys where the paint job is not perfect, or there's little nubs on it that they haven't cleaned up very well.
Right.
You know, that's part of the regular manufacturing process. So, yeah, it's not absolutely pristine. It's not absolutely perfect. And I did try and go for a bit of a two-tone silver kind of look with that to give it a little bit more shading. But in the painting process, it didn't quite work out. And a lot of these pieces for these shows are produced on a bit of a deadline. So it's ended up being a little bit more uniform.
Yeah, sure.
in the
I think
silver.
every project you have an idea of what you want to achieve, and then it'll come out differently because of different factors that
Yeah,
come
that's
along the
right.
way.
Yeah.
But it still turned out really well.
I'm really happy with it as a little display piece, and you know, something that is, as I said, that is unique, because you don't
Yes.
get Star Wars and My Little Ponies is not two properties that you would naturally think to put together. So
No, that's right.
It's fun, and that's what toys are all about for me. It's about joy and it's about fun.
Yeah, definitely.
It's about enjoying yourself, and it was definitely enjoyable putting this together.
Definitely done a good job with this one. Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for your insight
Yeah, no
in your
worries.
model. I think you've done a fabulous job. That's
Thank you
really
very
good.
much. Yeah.
There you go.
Lots of
Well,
fun.
thanks for joining us with this episode. Now, if you'd like to join us for this particular or discussing one of your models, let us know in the comments below. If you'd like to see more of this, consider subscribing, and if you've got any comments or if you like it, like us down below, and thanks for joining us again.